we're going to open the floor to question and answer, followed by a book signing. So welcome to an intimate evening with 3 poet laureates. And I'm going to be your MC for the evening. First up will be Tom LeDuc. Tom lives in the city of Greater Sudbury, where he was Poet Laureate from 2014 to 2016. His work reflects Sudbury's origins. His premier book of poetry, Stag Flower, is a collection that delves into the poet's memories of a mining family, of people who depend upon the earth's resources and risk their lives to go to work every day. Indeed, Tom has been called the people's poet. His poetry appears on city buses and on hiking trails. Performances have included the Gore Bay Jazz Festival, Northern Lights, and the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Tom's voice is uniquely powerful because it is rooted so firmly in a lived experience of mining that has yet to be aptly captured in contemporary Canadian poetry. It is my pleasure to welcome Tom LeDuc.
All right, thank you very much for being here. It's great to see so many people in such a lively literary community. It's great to be here in Aurora in this beautiful library with all of you to share poems on social justice. What a great place and a great topic. We got a lot to read tonight, at least I do anyways, and a lot to say, so I'm going to jump right into it. First poem I'm going to read is from the book Undocumented, Great Lakes Poets on Social Justice.
Yeah.
My poem is called Paper Dolls. The poem is about the issues of influence on our children. So much today our children are influenced by the internet and television, and we have so little control over this. And I was watching my daughter play, and I was thinking about this, and I wrote this poem, Paper Dolls. I want her to be more than a handful of lines in a movie, all of which are about a boy. More than the commodity of a half-dressed pop star. More than a stressed-out housewife with nowhere to go perfectly before her on the kitchen tiles.
Oh, okay.
Two-dimensional women, half-naked and exposed, picture-perfect models, dressing her as much as she is dressing them. She's learning, and my hands are bound and paper cut. So that's my poem from the collection. It's a great collection. We have a few here for sale, so please consider buying some. I recently published my first book of poetry. It's called Slag Flower, Poems Unearthed from a Mining Town. These poems are about a mining town. I come from 4 generations of miners. I'm the first one to not be working in the mines. I work for a mining mill supply company, so I still work with them. These poems follow me from a child up to my time now. They also cover stories from my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and the city's history. A lot of them deal with poems on unions, their social responsibility, corporations and their responsibility. The poem I'm going to read from here tonight is on our responsibility to nature and how we have a social responsibility to leave it better than the way we found it. The poem is called Buffalo Souls. It has the concept and the idea that after we landed here, we wiped out the buffalo. Those souls came back within the children of the industrial generation, the baby boomers. And then those souls started taking back the land and consuming it in their own way. Buffalo souls. This is the cold hard steel of it, the wheel and deal of it. We are all cookie cutter kids born in the shadow of the whale. Sounds of production ringing in our ears, pupils dilated to mushroom clouds. We've been spit out from the center of the earth, shoved into graded lines, packed onto conveyor belt highways, bounced around and picked apart, designed and detailed by engineers, then pushed to our tensile strength. were kitchen sinks and pocket change, rivers of sludge and slag, bullets and bearings, sulfur and smog, all circling the drain. Were the hollow echo of an industrial generation, a plastic stir-stick army, geared and numbered, displaced from nature and balanced on the tipping point. A remanufactured buffalo souls stampeding over the planet and grazing on the future. So that's one of the poems. Thank you. One of the poems from Slag Flower. If you have any connection to Sudbury or mining, this will, or know anybody, this will really touch them. I have a few other poems for you. Seeing that it is October, it's getting close to Halloween, I have a little hobby of mine of writing zombie poetry, which is quite fun. And oddly enough, a lot of these metaphors deal with social issues. I like to write about the zombies in our society. I have poems such as Black Friday, which refer to hordes of people consuming goods at malls. I have poems about alcoholic zombies. I have poems about fad diets, people eating their own flesh, so these kind of zombie poems. The one I'm going to read to you now is called The Living Dead. It deals with mental health issues, so depression and stuff. We see people dealing with this, and sometimes we feel they are on the outskirts. We might say they're freaks or geeks, and we just don't let them into our inner circles. I think we have a social responsibility to recognize these people, accept them, and bring them into our circles. I think the greatest gift we can give people is to just be present in them and with them. We don't need to talk to them, we don't need to help them, we just need to sit and be with them sometimes. So this poem is called The Living Dead. Her skin opens up like the Milky Way in the night. She cuts herself. Worships the goddess of pain. She is at war with her reflection, doesn't believe she's alive. Blind to the color green, she tastes only sour, spoiled moments. Her complexion stale bread, her skin hard candy. She has lost the ability to feel the warm flesh of others. She is numb to the rhythm of her heart, to the thin, sharp edge of the second hand as it ticks down the vein of her arm. She dances on a perforated line. Red stars fall from clenched fists, shoot through her aurora, comets burning bright into the carpet. Her life splatters to the floor, a dense forest of fear and self-loathing burning in the night. She is a Jackson Pollock painting on fire, the living dead rotting before our eyes. She cuts herself, her white, jagged scars, days scratched on a prison wall, lacerations spelling out our sins. A little sample of my zombie poems. I have two other poems for you this evening. The next one I chose is entitled Boys Will Be Boys. I think it takes a village to raise a child, and we all have a social responsibility to guide our children and create a culture that's respectful to everyone. I know these days, I think we have an issue with raising our boys and teaching them to respect life and others and beautiful things. When I was young, I grew up in a small town, had little boundaries, so I was free range at night. We'd hang out at night by the street lamps and talk about girls and whatever. One night we spotted these moths, and they were fluttering around the lights, big and beautiful, and we wanted them, we needed them, we felt that we should have them and control them. And what happened with that experience scarred me, and it's stayed with me ever since. It taught me a valuable lesson. This poem's based on that. It's called Boys Will Be Boys. At night, we'd hang out under street lamps, flutter in and out of the light, aroused by the fantasy of catching a moth. Dreamed of bottling the color from powdered skin, of pinning wings to a board. Our hungry palms groped the streets with baited fingers. When a moth blessed us with its presence, hormones rippled through the dark skin of the night, goosebumps lit up the sky, our hearts beat in sync with mottled wings. Standing on the curb, our silhouettes, a silent film, flirting against the hard pavement and wet grass. Tickled by the prospect of reaping the sweetest of fruits, we seized the moment in a fit of laughter and a fervent fist. Bullied our prey into empty ice cream pails, slit air holes in the lid with erect pocket knives handed down by proud fathers. In the morning, we bragged about the hunt, the scent of our exploits blistering our palms, our plucked wings grayed and brittle, our youth deflowered and jarred. I have one more poem for you tonight. This poem deals with gun violence and our culture in relation to guns. I was at a poetry event and I was talking to a couple of professors. We were talking about gun violence and America's relationship to guns. How it's in their constitution, it's a part of their DNA. They have a right to hold this. They feel very connected to guns. One of them mentioned he wondered what the gun would say to America if it would talk, and this sent off light bulbs in my mind. And of course I had to write a poem about it. What would the gun say to America if it could speak? What would it say back? And this is what I wrote. American gun. Thank you for marching to my bang bang shoot 'em up song since day one. When you landed on this continent, rode in on your horse and claimed the land your own. I made damn sure everyone heard you, and if they didn't like what you were shelling out, I silenced their drums. For you, I pressed my metal lips to the foreheads of an entire race, dragged them from their home, kissed away their future, made no distinction of race, religion, or color. Soldiers harmonized my rat-a-tat voice, stormed beaches in a thunderous chorus, dropped the mic with a bang so powerful we shook the earth. Together, with a whisper, we have silenced great power. Do you even know how many times you've buried my influence in the desert? The thought of my accent preaching your sermons on foreign soil keeps you safe behind your walls. I made America #1 with a bullet around the world. When you feel like no one is listening and you can't find the words, my armor-piercing voice is the hymn you sing to your God. I am your thumb and your forefinger. I am your penis. I am the parts of you you think make you a man. I am your answer to everything. I taught your children to sing a hollow point version of our song. A smooth falsetto down a crowded hallway. You wanted to free a nation? Bang! I made you a slave. You sang, give peace a chance? Bang! I muted your voice. You had a dream? Bang! I robbed you of it. I am your reality. I have a constitutional right to hear. You have a constitutional right to hear what I have to say. Bang! Bang! Bang. Thank you. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed my poetry. I hope you got something to think about.
Keep showing them. Another one.
One more. We need time for you, buddy. We'll do all.